Resolution 720p. I don't understand why that is, but you know, I'll take whatever I can get. Yeah, it looks like I am now officially live. Just hanging out again. Little middle of the afternoon stream for no reason. You know how it goes. I'm also streaming on Periscope for the first time because why not? Oh, I've got some hair in my mouth, which is a really nice way to start this. Digging through my mouth to get a piece of hair. Oh, but I got it. And that is an eyelash for sure. Migrated down from my eyeball into my mouth. Gross. Oh boy. Where are we at? Looks like I'm on Twitch, okay? How about YouTube? Are you working YouTube? It says I'm live on YouTube as well. Wonderful. Just what I wanted to hear. Oh, and chat's been going. I haven't been paying attention. Chat, what's up, Anthony? What's up, bro? Gus Gang. Oh, some blueberry cookies. Nice to hear that, Anthony. 42069. And Anthony, let's make a plan for next week to meet up. And we'll pick a place maybe somewhere in the middle. Or, I don't care, maybe you can come out this way. We'll figure it out. 42069, love the name. 5 digits, but tells... I had to count there to make sure that 3 plus 2 is actually 5, and it is. So, I love that, 42069. Very juvenile, very immature, sophomoric, but... Ooh, El Dorado would be awesome. Yes, man. El Dorado would be beautiful. I also have a joint here that I'm supposed to be smoking. So, I ate 2 of my world famous chocolate chip cookies. That's the word. And by world famous, I mean nobody has ever had them but me. About an hour ago, and so I'm already starting this stream at an elevated high level, somewhere in the 6 range and going up. So Gus Gang says, just bought a Volcano yesterday. First of all, congratulations. Any tips? Gus Gang, let's see. I would vape at around 4, I mean, pardon the easy pun, but I would set it to like 420 degrees, 425, 415, somewhere in there. Find your sweet spot. That for me seems to be the best. You get the most potent hits without it tasting burning or any of that kind of stuff. I usually make about 3 of the standard bags per oven chamber, Gus Gang, and I fill the chamber about halfway up. Not really heavily compacted, just loosely or, ground up, nice fine grind with your weed. Then fill the chamber about halfway up, and then I use it about 3 times before taking that weed and storing it in some container to use for later, because it still has quite a bit of THC in it. Not just THCA, but completely activated THC that you can use to make in like firecrackers if you don't want to, turn it into butter or something. Just take that, your AVB, your already vaped bud, sprinkle it over some graham crackers with peanut butter or Nutella or something, and you'll get quite high. So yeah, set it to about 420 degrees, use about 3 chambers worth, save the stuff at the end, and either turn it into butter or just make firecrackers out of it. And your Volcano, you're going to love it, I promise. Space Dude says, Is your tolerance so high that you don't get paranoia anymore? Yes, Space Dude. I didn't really ever get paranoia with weed. I mean, when I first started smoking, I would get that like, cause I first started smoking in an illegal state. So, you know, occasionally I would get like, if I would hear a noise outside, I'd think, oh God, are the cops coming? Just a brief flash of that kind of stuff. But no, not in a long time. And I never really was more paranoid than a fleeting thought of like, uh-oh, you know, is somebody gonna be knocking on the door telling me to knock it off? So luckily I've never been too affected. And at this point, I don't get even the slightest paranoid thoughts from weed. You know, I live in California where everybody is smoking weed all the time, constantly. So, you don't have to worry about that. Like, oh, you know, is the smell getting out in the hallway or any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, no paranoia for me, which I know I'm fortunate in that regard because not a lot of people experience that. Yes, Anthony, beautiful. We will do it next week. El Dorado. I know I'll be free Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We'll pick a day. Philip, welcome, Philip Baca. Good to see you, man. How are you doing? Monster Black, welcome back. He said, what's the best for making edibles, dabs or buds? Monster Black, I have never actually used concentrates to make edibles. I have an Ardent Nova, which is the decarboxylator, the decarber, and you can actually decarb concentrate in there. You just put it in like a glass container, and you know it'll decarb as well, and you can use that for edibles. But I've never done it. I don't know why. I just, for some reason, I've never gone through the effort. But I have used flour exclusively, and it works pretty much fine. Great. I haven't tried too many edibles that I know from different, you know, pre-made edibles from companies selling them that use concentrates either. I know a couple that I have, and they were pretty good, but they weren't anything, you know. It just still comes down to how much THC you can get in there, and I would assume, you know, concentrates by their very nature, you could make more potent edibles in a smaller package with concentrates, but I just haven't tried it. But it is on the list of something to do. So, The Public Awakening, hey, welcome, by the way. That's a pretty cool name. He says, hey, long-time toker. Congratulations. Recently got my New Jersey, his medical card. Loving your channel. Well, thanks, man. Thanks for hanging out with us, Public Awakening, and congratulations in getting your card. Maybe you could fill me in exactly on Jersey's sort of where they're at in terms of legalization. It sounds like maybe they have recreational, or not recreational, but they have medical but not recreational, which would be cool, I guess. I hope, you know, they get medical soon, but it seems like the East Coast is more slow to adopt than the more adventurous West Coast. But I used to keep very good track of what state was at what level. And, you know, but I have definitely fallen off, and I'm kind of unclear where everybody is at, you know, in terms of legalization. I'm pretty sure I know the majority of the ones that have total legalization, but I'm really in the dark about the ones that are just medical and to what levels they have medical as well, because it's changing so quickly. So, where are we at here? Space Dude. You're welcome for answering. I'm gonna finish this bag before it starts to get too cool on me. We have all our various toys again, which I'll cut to here. We've got ourselves a bubbler and a bong and a volcano. A joint ready to go here. Gus Gang says, have I noticed less carts going around? It seems like the trend is dying. My guess is you are absolutely seeing less carts being passed around, especially in the states without any sort of legalization, because people are afraid, and sort of rightfully so. If you are in, if you're in the East Coast, especially somewhere that is in a total desert, doesn't have any sort of legal states around you, whatever cartridges you're buying are likely coming from California. And the person, even if it's like a trusted brand, like, say Brass Knuckles or Steezy, whatever the case may be, because these brands don't have any protection, they don't have any copyright protection, people just, again, will copy those images and files and just make counterfeit expensive cartridges, because why not? It's already illegal what you're doing, so might as well, cheat another way. And they're also, at that point, in a sort of race to the bottom in terms of material costs. They don't want to spend a lot of money, and then you get into the cheap shit like the vitamin E acetate, which is what it looks like was, causing all the chemical burns on people's lungs. How many people is it up to now? I mean, it's several hundred dead, right? That's not an insignificant number. And it really seems like the finger is, I trust the CDC on this. I think that it is that dumb vitamin E acetate additive that's used as like an emulsifier, I think, in those cheap cartridges. Totally fine as a food substance, which, it's, been used for years as a food substance. But when you aspirate it at high temperatures, it's never been tested, and it looks like your lungs don't like it. And so if you're on the East Coast, even if you're buying Steezy, Brass Knuckles, an expensive brand that you think, well, this is good, you can't know for sure. You just don't, and I wouldn't advise it. So that's why I think you're seeing less of it, because people are scared and they have some reason to be scared. Long answer. The Anthony says, oh, cool, man. Sounds good. David Elder, I bought a Santa Cruz shredder. Makes such a better grind than my cheap grinder. Santa Cruz grinder seems to be the gold standard. I have black tie grinders, which is another pretty good one. I've had it for 3 years now. It's worked great. It is starting to get a little worn on me at this point, and probably going to upgrade maybe to even a bigger sized grinder. I just have a normal, I have no idea what the diameter size of my grinder is, but I might upgrade to a bigger one and an even nicer one at some point. Whenever I make butter, though, whenever I make weed butter, I use an espresso bean grinder, a coffee bean grinder, which basically instantly turns an ounce of weed into something that you could, coffee bean size or coffee ground size dust. So I use that to make butter with. I don't know if I would use that though to burn stuff with, because it's so fine, it would burn so fast. But when making edibles, it's great. It's the easiest way to grind up a shit ton of weed in a very quick and efficient manner. Raul, glad you are here, man. I'm glad you could catch me live as well. Evan Klein says, I've had a Santa Cruz for over a decade. I'd be pretty sad if I lost it. Oh, wow, man. A decade with a grinder. That is a pretty good endorsement. Maybe I'll have to go with one of theirs, especially if they have one of those big, like 6-inch in diameter. That might be too big. I don't know. But a larger size than I have now. Especially if you've had it for a decade. David Elder says, the teeth on the Santa Cruz one is so much better for fluffy grind. Yeah, the one I have now, I guess it's just, maybe I need to give it a good alcohol bath to get all the, almost invisible resin off of those blades. But I think they just dulled enough that they're slowly slowly starting to fade. Oh, Anthony says Chromium Crusher makes a huge, almost 10-inch diameter one. I will have to check that out. Chromium Crusher. I'm Googling that shit right now. That's a fun name, too. Sounds like a monster truck rally thing. Sunday, Chromium Crusher. Oh, they're on Amazon. All different shapes and sizes. Oh, I can get one with Walter White, one with C-3PO, one with Harley Davidson. Very neat. I'm sure all of those brands are very happy to be associated with marijuana. Oh, Justin says, I don't really smoke too much flower, but I'm debating making a mason jar rig. They look sick and so easy to clean. Ah, the mason jar rig. I have seen them before. I've never smoked one from one before, but they do look super neat. Generally, anything fastened from mason jars look pretty cool. The thing I've been really wanting is a fancy, what do you call them? A fancy gravity bong. That's it. The one where you use the water pressure pulling down on some burning weed and inhaling from that. I've used a sort of jury-rigged gravity bong before, using like just a 2-liter bottle with a hole poked out at the bottom and a cap retrofitted with a bowl on the top, and they're incredible. A fancy, nice one would be really wonderful, but they're really expensive, especially for one that's not just, homemade, but, a girl can dream. Scott Willis says, hello from Virginia. Well, welcome, Scott. Thanks for joining us in from Virginia. How is the, I don't even remember what your state motto is, but I used to be your neighbor in Tennessee. Virginia, the turning blue state. But welcome. Elaine says, back up. Raul's got one and only question. Do you recommend a Kiva or a Defoncé chocolate bar? I hear great things about both effect and taste-wise. That's because they are both great, Raul. My slight preference would be at this point would be a Kiva bar, only because the Defoncé bar is a very big chocolate bar that only has 90 milligrams of THC, whereas the Kiva bar, which tastes not quite as good, but still very good, is much smaller and is 100 milligrams. So you have less to eat and it's more potent. But the Defoncé, if you eat lower dose edibles and you're splitting it among buddies, it's probably the way to go, just because you can break off huge chunks and not get that high. But if you're looking for just like the best sort of bang for your buck, I would go the slight edge over Kiva, but you're going to get your money's worth out of either of the two. Both great. Elaine says, hello from Montreal. Well, thanks for joining in, my Canadian friend. Thanks for hanging out with us. I'm glad you guys have, as a country, wisened up. Hopefully we'll follow suit, not just piecemeal down here. Excuse me. Jeffrey says, been a while since I caught a stream. You're on flower now, I see. For the moment, I'm actually also on, I don't know how to dose my edibles, but I would say probably about 150 milligrams of THC just by feel, which, don't quote me on. I don't know what I'm talking about, but I would say, based on my experience, which is quite extensive with weed edibles, I would say probably about 150 milligrams of THC I took about an hour before the stream started. And now I've just done one bag and a lot of talking. It's time for a joint. Virginia is for lovers. Thank you, Justin. Oh my God, that's it. Of course. God damn it. How did I forget that? Because it's such a weird one. I do not think of Virginia as for lovers. I think of Virginia as a place where they catch speeders. That's the first thing I think of about when I think of Virginia is do not speed in that state. The second thing I think about is slaves. The third thing I think about is the University of Virginia, which is a great university founded by Thomas Jefferson, which makes me think about slaves again. And then that makes me sad. And then I realized that West Virginia broke off because they didn't like slaves. And now I think how ironic that is because if there's one state in the Union that, you know, might vote to reinstate slavery, it's West Virginia. So those are my thoughts on Virginia. And it's for lovers, apparently. I used to take the mega bus when I was a broke ass like college student right out of college with my wife, girlfriend at the time. Because there was a mega bus, which was one of those cheap like double decker bus services that you could get tickets for like $1 if you booked early enough. I took it a couple times up north to a music festival in Philadelphia and something another time, but each time you had to stop at the University of Virginia campus was the only stop in between there and Washington, D.C. And there was only like a red eye route, so you were always stopping at the University of Virginia at like 3:30 in the morning, picking up bleary-eyed college students going to God knows where. But that's another thing I think about Virginia. Deep thoughts. Okay, I need to catch up with chat, and I am gonna go with AIFG. AIFG. I wonder what the story is there. Bomb Gorilla Glue. I'm a Gorilla Glue #4 guy myself. I don't really believe in strains, but if somebody said, hey, what's your favorite strain? And I didn't want to go through a spiel about strains, I would say, oh, Gorilla Glue #4, just to make it easier. And AI also lets us know that LA in the house. I never know what to say about when people that aren't from like the West Coast say, oh, where are you from? Where do you live? Because I live in Long Beach, which is the second biggest city in LA County. It's a city of 500,000. But I don't think a lot of people even know it exists, Long Beach, because it's this, it's just overshadowed by Los Angeles, which, we're in the same county it's the same county, but we're a completely separate city of a substantial size. So, but when people ask me where I'm from, I usually just say, oh, I'm from Los Angeles, because if I say Long Beach, they're like, oh, you mean New York? And I say, no, California. And they're like, oh, where's that? And it's Los Angeles. I will admit, I was kind of ignorant. Before I moved here, I was ignorant of Long Beach. The only impression I had of it was from media, and it didn't have positive things to say about Long Beach, which is ridiculous because Long Beach is incredible. Love this city. But not a lot of people know about a city that's, 500,000 strong. Anyways, where are we? Elaine says, got high with some spray I got at a local SQDC. I'm not sure what SQDC is. Well, and I'm not even sure what spray is, Elaine. Maybe you can elaborate on that. Spray sounds both kind of gross, but also very intriguing. Virginia is for lovers. It's their slogan on their license plates. Yes, I remember seeing a lot of Virginian license plates in East Tennessee with that just bizarro slogan on it. I never understood it. I'm sure there's some historical reason for it. Elaine is feeling quite good, flying high, but not too high. So, no Icarus for Elaine. Icarus was the one who died. Daedalus was his dad who didn't die. Is that right? Icarus was the one who flew too close to the sun, and his pops was Daedalus, and he survived. A long time since Greek mythology. Okay, where are we at? Justin says, I think you're right, David. My brother lives there right now, so that's how I know. Oh, that's, you were in with the Virginia's for Lovers, because you've got a brother in Virginia, which, as a state, I mean, there's some really cool spots in Virginia. Still talking about Virginia. I didn't think we'd be having so much conversation about Virginia. My wife has been to Richmond recently, and she said it was amazing. She said it was a beautiful, beautiful place. There's just, and it's politically an incredibly interesting state, Virginia. It's very dynamic and changing rapidly. But, okay, that's the last word on Virginia. I'm serious. I don't know why I keep talking about Virginia. All right. David Elder says Canaco makes great chocolate now too. I know they used to make the chocolate for Flavor X, but I have not tried any of their own chocolate. I haven't seen it. If I do, I will try it instantly, and I will assume it is great because Canaco is always great. AIFG says, I came across you on a Gorilla Glue cartridge review, new to your channel for Amen. Well, thanks for joining us, AI. I'm glad you found us and are hanging out. Don't forget to smash that like, he says. What are the other things you're supposed to say? Hit that bell. Tell your friends, tweet, whatever the new hot way to share stuff is, be sure to do that. I'm on TikTok now. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not even on Snapchat. Oh, I am on Instagram. Never mind. Can't say that. Holy shit, I am so behind on chat. Let's go. David Elder says Virginia equals backcountry podunk. Parts of it, for sure. But parts of it are quite lovely and growing quite nice. AIFG says no channel gets left behind. That's a very nice sentiment. Los Angeles King, welcome. Hey bro, what's up? On the subject, when I said black market shops were closed, they are not apparently. They removed them all from Weedmaps, not technically shut them down. Yes, Weedmaps is finally no longer complicit with the whole black market thing. They are no longer advertising for black market shops. I think you have to have a license now, which to me is the way it should have been all along. I don't have anything to say against, I'm not making any judgments about black market shops or people who are shopping at black markets. I just think it's unfair to those who have gone the traditional way that Weedmaps, sort of ranked them in the same way, although they easily could tell which ones were legit and weren't. And they were also then funneling customers, unwitting customers who thought Weedmap, is the authority on these things to black market sites, which might have, cartridges that aren't safe for them. Anyways, David Elder said, did I move for marijuana? No, I wouldn't say it wasn't a perk for moving, but my wife's company had a position that opened up out here, and we wanted to be out of East Tennessee regardless, and I was already consuming weed at that point, so I thought, California, that sounds great. So I can't say there was no part of weed that didn't factor in the decision, but it wasn't the primary reason for sure. David Eller says, do you buy Prop 64 buds or do you black market? At this point, David, I pretty much exclusively buy legal stuff. I used to buy stuff at the black markets to do some more reviews because there were a lot of big products that were still being sold that were black market. But I haven't been to one in some time now. Again, I'm not judging anybody who uses black markets or opens, runs them. For me, it's largely just convenience. I am literally, where I live, there is a dispensary 1 block this way and 1 block this way from me. And so I don't really need, whenever I need weed, I just get my walk down the street. Although I do sometimes still order delivery because I can order in bulk from some places and get some really good deals. So, who knows? But I don't think the delivery services that I use are black market, but I actually don't know for sure. They're advertising on Weedmaps still, so I assume that means that they are not. Because, again, Weedmaps did not differentiate. They didn't let people know, even though they could have. All right. Phil DeHigh, welcome Phil DeHigh, by the way, says, Long Beach is highly ranked in best ran cities. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I love it. I think it's a dynamic, really responsive city that is willing to try things, is willing to experiment, and not at all like areas that I come from before. And I love it, and I'm glad to see that somebody on some list recognizes it in some way, because it's awesome. Los Angeles King says, Long Beach sucks because they don't have any black market shops, and they are all expensive. That is true, Los Angeles King. No black market shops anywhere in Long Beach that I know of. I'm sure there's probably somewhere that are run out of some basements or, some empty storefront or whatever, but I don't know of them. They're not easily accessible. They're not, advertised. But the pot shops here are quite expensive. Our taxes are very high, but goddamn, is there a lot of weed in Long Beach. As I said, I live between 2 of them. There's another. I can, within 15 minutes, I can walk to 4 dispensaries. Within half an hour, I can walk to 6. And there's another one that's going to be open sometime soon-ish that will easily be within that 15-minute range, meaning that I will at some point have 5 dispensaries, I believe, that will be within a 15-minute walking distance of me, which is nuts. I did not ever know nor expect that when buying this condo. Oh man, I'm so behind on chat, guys. I'm going to catch up here. Justin says, I believe you can grow tolerance to a strain. I had 10 grams of a strain called Citri Tangy and felt like the high would just get less and less. And then you had some Alien OG and saved, and it was like explosion. That can make sense to me, because what we're beginning to understand more and more is not so much the strains, the difference. It's like the individual terpene profiles and cannabinoid profiles. And so if you just keep consuming the same strain over and over and over again, it seems like maybe, you would build up a tolerance to this specific cannabinoids in that strain. And then when moving over to another one that has a completely different profile, you may not be as tolerant to what's in there and could, get even higher. That that sounds reasonable to me. I don't know if anybody's ever done a study to that effect, but I could see the logic in it for sure. So Elaine says SQDC is a local legit weed shop up here in Quebec, Canada. Oh, okay, I get you now. It is one of your it's your MedMen, your weed shop du jour. Weed spray is under your tongue, says Elaine. So it's a sublingual you take, like a tonic or a no, not tonic. What do we call it? Tincture. That's the T word. Yeah, Elaine, I've definitely done some tinctures before that are like that, and I enjoy the fact as well that you can kind of up and down the dosage to whatever you want, whenever you want, at whatever level. Bones90 joins us. Well, welcome, Bones90. Glad you could join us. Well, thank you for sharing us, AIFG. He says he's putting us on blast out there, which we appreciate. I'm going to cut to the weed cam here and turn back on my Volcano. Oh, hello. I didn't see you guys over there. So I let my Volcano cool off, and now I have to let it warm up another 200 degrees. So I'm going to try to... I have this monitor I have set up right here that's just for chat, so I can see it and still do it. And I said the last time I was going to do it, and I literally just have to plug another HDMI cord into my desktop, but haven't done it, and so I can't really see chat. So I'm sorry, but we're almost there. You probably can't see it from that distance, but 250, 425. That's a difference of 175? Oh God, I can't do this math right now. While we're waiting for that to warm up, and I forgot who it was that purchased the Volcano. Was it you, Gus Gang? If not, if so, I can show you. Here is my chamber all filled up. Well, you can't really see it, and I don't want to spill it. But it's got my weed in there, about halfway up, not compacted, ready to go. Oh, what are we consuming today, by the way? I'm glad you guys didn't ask. Well, maybe you did, but I can't read the chat. We've got ourselves a fresh ounce of Tropicana cake here. Yum. A hybrid of wedding cake and whatever Tropicana, whatever the other noun is in that. So, yum, yum, yum. This will actually be the first thing I've done from the Tropicana cake, I believe. So we'll all get to experience it together, which is delightful and wonderful. And we still have only 90 degrees left to go. Only 8 degrees less than my favorite boy band of the 90s. In case you can't do the math at home, that's 98 degrees with Nick Lachey. And I take it back, they're not my favorite boy band from the 90s. That honor goes to O-Town. Wait, I take it back. Unless you count Savage Garden as a boy band, then it goes to Savage Garden. Oh, fuck. Joint. Now, I don't want to give anybody the incorrect impression that I know how to roll a joint. This was a pre-roll. Somebody did it for me. I'm still an incompetent boob. Also, I think incompetent boob is a weird noun to use as an insult for yourself, because it doesn't feel like a thing that is insulting. So I'm an incompetent Well, I'm struggling not to come up with a body part. I'm thinking any other thing other than just some body part, and all I'm coming up with is body parts. An incompetent, god damn, just fingers, toes, sexual organs, all just coming to mind. Maybe oaf? Oaf? That's an easy one. Anyways, calling somebody a boob is gendered. And that is bad. I'm not here to lecture. You can call anybody whatever you want. Just know that there are consequences for your actions. But also not really anymore, it seems like, right? It seems like we're in a space where actions are devoid of consequences now. But I don't mean in a physical sense. I mean, always every action has a consequence, but I just mean in terms of public shaming, recognition. I'm not really sure where I was going with that, but I'm just saying. It seems like right now is the best time to get away with things, because if you can pivot to one camp or another, you can make the other camp believe whatever horrible things about the other one. Good point, me. Anyways, I'll see you guys back over there. Wow, I'm back. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go up on chat. Bones90 says, true story, I'm somebody who recently got pneumonia from vaping counterfeit cartridges. Bones90, I am very sorry to hear that. Bones, would you mind telling us where you are from? Are you in an illegal state? Do you live somewhere where you can purchase carts legally, or did you purchase it from a dealer who sold you a cart? And what brand was it that got you the pneumonia? And most importantly, Bones, are you okay, my friend? Because that is awful. I'm really sorry you had to go through that. So Bones90 says, when I checked into the hospital, my blood oxygen level was 70%. It's supposed to be like 93 plus. That sounds pretty dire, like a 20 percentage drop, 25 percentage drop. That seems really bad. Holy shit. AIFG says, we will go to you, plug and play, man. Yes, you are. I think so. Thank you. I believe. I appreciate that. Plug and play. Great brand. So Bones, yeah, I am sorry, man. And I know you probably told me that a couple of minutes ago, and I'm just now getting caught up on chat here, and I am sorry. Holy shit, I was really, really behind on chat, man. I am sorry about that. I hope you're okay. I hope you're still out there in chat, because that's terrible. Los Angeles King says, I love black market shops, very cheap prices and good quality. As long as you know the guy who's running your black market shop and you trust the stuff he gets, go for it. If you don't know, there is some small inherent risk in going to one, but if you trust him, enjoy your discount. I say go for it. Elaine says, love your channel, by the way. Thank you so much, Elaine. I really appreciate that. Nice feedback. And says, clarified with the tincture. Yes, I thought maybe, I know there actually are some like aerosolized weed sprays as well, like, old school, like mouth spray, but yeah, tincture is the nomenclature down here for the stuff you put under your tongue or in other drinks. Phil DeHue says, thanks for the welcome. Love your vids, man. Thank you so much, Phil. I appreciate that, dude. And again, Bones, I am sorry I did not get to talk to you at the time. I really feel bad. And I hope you are okay. David Elder says, Wheats, you'd be a great shrink. You're so calm and put together. Well, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I like to think of myself as a rational human being. Bones90 says, I am in Southern California and got my cartridges from a dealer who I thought was legit, but they're not on Weedmaps anymore, so I guess they didn't have a license. Probably not, Bones, and I'm sorry your dealer was selling you shady shit. Okay, so they were the cookie brand, and I would guess that they were almost certainly counterfeit. Oh, and you're good. You're healthy. Really glad to hear it, Bones90. Glad you're okay, my man. But again, sorry you had to go through with it. Hopefully, from this point forward, are you still gonna continue to vape, Bones90? And if you are, I hope you find yourself a totally reliable source going forward, because what you went through, nobody should have to. Medical Cannabis says hello from Scotland. Well, hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Our brothers from the Northern United Kingdom. I'm glad you could join us. I'm sorry what's going on in the UK right now. You guys seem to be, experiencing some similar turmoils to us, and in Scotland it seems like you guys are an unfortunate bystander in this whole fuck up, because I'm just gonna guess, Medical Cannabis, that you still want to be in the EU, but I don't know that for sure, and I apologize if that's not the case. Medical Cannabis, back up. David Elder says, go to Cookies Melrose and get some real cookies products. They won't make you sick, but they are hella expensive. I'm going to have to check them out. Medical Cannabis, our Scottish brother, says, I use the Volcano, or sister. I'm sorry, being presumptuous there. Says, use the Volcano for his meds too. Yes, the Volcano is the greatest health product known to man. It's a great way of delivering much needed medication. Blemzer XD says, and welcome Blemzer, by the way. Chiding Bones a bit for trusting a dirtbag black market guy. Blemzer, I'd say, excuse me, not, oh boy. Medical Cannabis says, where we go one, we go all. Oh boy. Okay. But yeah, Blemzer, we all can easily get swindled with these things. Weedmaps did not differentiate. It wasn't his fault for being a trusting guy. It was the fault of the scumbag dealers. But I'm sure we've all learned a valuable lesson here. Brady Alex gives a little heart. Send that right back, Brady Alex. Thanks for joining us. Medical Cannabis says, all good. I don't know in response to. I hope it was to my original point, but I'm not sure. Justin says, my brother brought a half-gram cart from a Chicago dispensary. Cost $94 after taxes. Holy shit. I heard what was going on in Illinois is expensive, but $94 for a half-gram cart is outrageous. I assume the black market will continue to thrive in Illinois for a long time to come, until those prices come way down. You can get a, half gram cartridge here in Southern California where our taxes are already too high, depending, we'll say between 30 and 50 bucks. So 94 is outrageous. Just crazy. Bones90 says, I'm too paranoid to vape at the moment, to be honest. Maybe eventually I'll get back to it if I can find a dealer that I'm 100% confident in. I'm on edibles as we speak, and that's been working out for me pretty well. Bones90, right on, brother. That's a perfect way to go about it. Just, take a wait and see approach with vapes until everything shakes out. No harm in going exclusively edibles. As an edibles fan myself, I couldn't be happier as well. So medical cannabis, I apologize for making that assumption. Good luck, Britain or United Kingdom. It's gonna be a bumpy road for everybody, and I can honestly say I hope it works out incredibly well for everybody involved. That's what I hope. I hope everything just works out A-okay for everyone. Mad Crypto, welcome back. Mad Crypto says, get high, brothers. That's what we're doing, my friend. David Elder says, living in Long Beach, back up here, must be lit because they have a Connected and a few other stores that are some of the best in Cali. Connected is in there are two Connecteds in Long Beach. One like right off the freeway, the other one in swanky ass Belmont Shore. That is one of the ones that I said is within a 25-minute walking radius from me. It is really nice. They do have great products. And again, that's just one of the dispensaries. That one's about a 25-minute walk. There are four with about a 15-minute walk from me. So yes, Long Beach, especially the Alamitos area of Long Beach, is fucking nuts for how much weed is out here. It's pretty crazy. It's still, even living here, living in the, sort of ground zero for it, and having been involved doing wheats now for how long have I been doing this? 2 or 3 years? I can't remember, honestly. I think 3 years. It's still surreal. It is still surreal. Just walking down the street and seeing weed everywhere you go. It's a crazy feeling. Medical Cannabis says, also the Volcano leftovers get used to make my cannabis oil. Right there with the Medical Cannabis. The cookies that I ate before this very live stream were made from AVB from my Volcano, and they were incredibly good. So that's my number one favorite thing about the Volcano, even above the fact that it makes my favorite way of inhaling weed, is that you get such great AVB at the end that you can reuse for still quite good edibles or tincture or whatever. Bones90 says, he was pretty ignorant about weed and dispensaries, to be honest. I assumed if they were on Weedmaps, they were 100% legit. Bones90, you are not wrong for believing that. Weedmaps 100% was being disingenuous and dishonest. They knew, they could have known, they did know for sure what was legit and what wasn't, but they take hefty fees, advertising fees, for being on Weedmaps. And so if you remove the illegal dispensaries, well, that, takes away a lot of potential customers. And so they were motivated by greedy profit motives, and leading to, again, customer confusion. And you just got taken for a ride, and it's, not your fault in any way, shape, or form. You can point it at both the guy selling shady shit and Weedmaps for turning a blind eye for that all-important dollar bill, y'all. Okay, Justin says, Bones, why not just hit up a recreational dispensary? Don't you live in California? I wouldn't trust people with carts other than a licensed dispensary. Delivery services, I guess Justin would be my guess, is he was looking for delivery service, because there's still some Southern California communities that have no dispensaries. There are a few in Orange County, there are a few in Los Angeles County that don't allow dispensaries of any kind. So, you know, if he lives in one of those communities, or if he just lives far away, you know, you go on Weedmaps, you think, oh, this is legit, but, Mad Crypto, oh, sorry, almost mixed. Quentin Porsche, welcome, Quentin. Sup, man, I broke the first pipe I ever bought a couple of days ago. A real heartbreaker. I remember breaking my first pipe as well. It's a real rite of passage. And says, I must have had it for at least 13 years. Holy shit. I think I had my first pipe, you know, for 6 months before I broke it. That is a heartbreaker, man. There are a lot of memories in that piece of glass, I'm sure. Maybe you can, you know, take some of it and put it in the bottom of a new bong or something, in the bong water, so that it will always be with you in some way. If you could repurpose the glass in some way, you know, so you may never be able to smoke out of it again, but it will still be there with you in the process. Getting sentimental now. He said he replaced it with a wooden pipe so it won't happen again. And he asked, do I own any wooden pipes? I do not. I had one years and years and years ago that a friend gave to me. It was okay. It was a super cheap wooden pipe. So it wasn't anything super fancy or nice. I used it on occasion. I have no idea what happened to it. I just stopped using it one day, and I don't know if it got thrown away or what, but I haven't ever used anything like a fancy wooden pipe before. And I don't know anybody who uses a wooden one either. But I hope it works out well for you. It seems like, you know, that's what pipes were made out of for the majority of history. Tobacco pipes are almost always wood. You get a nice thick wood, like I don't know, a thick wood. Oak, cherry, those are thick woods, right? That's not even, what's the term? Heavy wood? I don't know. I'm not a carpenter. Mad Crypto says, I tried using Ease for the first time today. It's pretty quick. Mad Crypto, I have used Ease a couple times as well. Super quick. I actually really liked it. It's a little bit expensive, but they often have some good promos running, some good deals on the front page that, you know, if you focus on those, you can get some decent deals. But yeah, super quick, super easy. Not a lot of effort or drama in the process. That reminds me, I have to, and I'm sorry for how smug this is going to be. I really apologize. I might have to go grab my drink first because my throat is killing me. Talking and smoking and talking. You know how it goes. And then I'll tell you my brag. Excuse me. Although this is almost out. Quick brag. I ordered weed. Last time I ordered weed, it was actually through a delivery service. And the driver, when they pulled up, when I met them out front, they're like, no, do you make YouTube videos? I was like, that's me. She's like, oh, I always watch your stuff to know about edibles. I'm like, I'm glad. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. It was a little surreal being recognized by your delivery driver. To continue being a smug bastard. I've been recognized like 4 times now in public, and each time it's it's still surreal. Like, another time was at a dispensary. The two like receptionists both knew who I was, which was bizarre. And then just twice out in public. One time I was in Beverly Hills for something, and somebody just rolled down the window from their car and just went, "Weeds," as they drove by, which was really weird. And there was just one other time, just someone in public, like, "Hey, I know you from YouTube." It is a weird sensation. Where am I at? Okay. Medical Cannabis says weed in Scotland costs 50 to 75 pounds for a quarter of an ounce. And let me do that conversion. Pounds to dollars right now is 1.3. So, holy shit. Let's say it's 60 bucks a pound, or $60. Yeah, pounds, 60 pounds. You're paying about 80 bucks, 80 US dollars for a quarter. That is crazy. I'm sorry it is that outrageous, medical cannabis. I'm guessing they're not a lot, a lot of that just has to be a function of supply and demand. The supply must be a lot lower in England. It's just, there are just not as many places to grow weed as there are in the United States. I mean, I'm sure, whatever weed is grown in England is all indoor grows, but I'm guessing the large majority of cannabis that's in the UK, and I'm sorry I keep saying England, I know you're in Scotland, and I know those are not the same thing, and I apologize. But yeah, I must imagine the majority of the cannabis in the United Kingdom is imported, and that risk makes it inherently more expensive. Whereas almost all the cannabis, or all the cannabis I buy is probably grown within like a 100-mile radius of where I consume it. Okay, David Elder says, best way to get high will be smoking high-quality indoor flower. That's the primo standard. You can control all the variables, get the best lighting conditions, the best soil conditions for indoor grows. I'm sure there'll be some hippies out there, and I apologize, I don't mean to use hippies pejoratively, that will say, no, you need real sunshine, man, for the authentic thing, dog. And to that I say, good for you. I trust that you get a better experience out of it. For me, whatever gets the THC percentages up the highest is the best way, and that way is almost always an indoor grow where you can control every teeny tiny little variable to get them dankest, crystalliest, shiniest, adjectiviest nuggets possible. So, you're welcome. And, I keep meaning to, on Twitch, editing some things so that people know, because it just defaults to IRL. I should have many other categories. We want Twitch brothers to join us as well. Son Goku says, 2 full gram Steezy cost me $75 here in California. That's a good deal on 2 full grams Steezies. Excuse me, Son Goku. That is a very good deal. But Steezy, still great. I actually was just finished a Steezy gram pod myself. The in-laws were in town recently, and I picked up a couple of Steezy pods to use on the sly, and finally finished them up the other day. They're still great. Still love Steezy. I wish I could find 2 gram pods for $75 though. Mad Crypto says, I'm smoking on my G Pen right now. I have not done the G Pens yet, or the dart systems, but I should try one soon. I would like to. Maybe that'll be the first review I do officially back. Not sure yet. So Blemzer says, who's tried Blue River? Not me. What is Blue River, by the way, Blemzer? Not sure what it is. Mad Crypto says, cost me $50 total for a half gram. That's not a bad deal. And Blemzer asks, aren't they charging over 30% taxes in Long Beach? Yes, they are. You get a slight, 5% discount on one of the taxes if you have medical. Not a whole 5% discount in total, but 5% of the Long Beach city tax, which probably equates to 1.5 or 2% of the actual total tax. But yes, it's over 30%. I don't know what the exact number is. It's probably closer to 40%, I would think. Let me Google it, actually. I'm now curious. Long Beach marijuana taxes. It's ridiculous that it seems like Google still basically doesn't auto search for anything weed related. The search bar won't auto complete for anything weed related, which just seems to me like they're saying, that's an anti-endorsement because they're not going to basically make it easier for you to look at weed things, which to me is still, it's like Google, come on, get with it. But that's not, okay, so this only says 15% tax by the state of California and 10.25 by the city of Long Beach, but that's not all it is. It's higher than that. Oh, it does look like they are going to reduce it in Long Beach, though, at some point. There was a city council meeting in December talking exactly about that. So I hope that goes down. Medical Cannabis says, a constant fight to get the meds. If not, then it's on the free morphine for me. Medical Cannabis, I hope they allow you to do the way less harmful and addictive thing. And if weed, if cannabis, if marijuana is what helps you manage your pain or anxiety or whatever ailment morphine would substitute in for, well, that wouldn't be anxiety, mostly just pain. Yes, it would be preposterous for the government to say, here, stick with this addictive opiate, get away from the harmless, terrifying weed. So I hope they get their asses on straight. That's not a thing, asses on straight. But maybe we just created that. Get your ass on straight. As a way of saying, get it together, man. Hey, dog, get your ass on straight. We got to get this something. Okay. Medical Cannabis says, I get free morphine for my broken back. Broken back, I am sorry, man. Back pain is the worst. But can be jailed for buying his own meds, which I assume he means as weed. Yes, of course, it is absolutely, positively preposterous that is the case. It is just one of the wild, laughable injustices that are slowly causing the world to crumble around us. It is one of many, but maybe one of the more egregious ones, that a government is trying to shovel free addictive opiates into your mouth to keep you away from a harmless, addictive, well, physically addictive substance like marijuana. It's insane. It's one of the things that's just causing us to everybody to say, what the fuck are we doing? Why are we doing it this way? You know, it's gonna cause us all to kill ourselves in the end, but weed is great, and it's insane that the UK cannot acknowledge that. Okay. Blemzer says, that's true. I live in Southgate, California. And it's one of the cities, for some odd reason, there is not one legit dispensary. Sorry about that, Blemzer. That sucks that they are one of the backwards ones. Oh my God. I am way far behind on chat, and I'm sorry. Florida Grown says, damn, you get it poppin'. You should have got the driver high. Don't know what that means. I am really far behind. I'm sure I would have understood in context, but I don't now. David Ringler, welcome, David Ringler. Also, welcome, Florida Grown. He says, what's up, brother? Not too much. How about yourself? Medical Cannabis says, mine is grown within a 10-mile radius. Your weed is. That's really nice. That is some real fresh weed. David says he's got a dart and a PAX pod. It does seem like everybody's got at least two kind of different vaping systems. I have I have a PAX. I have a plug and play. I have a Steezy, and I have, of course, several standard 510 batteries, but I do not yet have a dart. It's one of the few that I don't, but I do anticipate getting one at some point. David Ringler says it is about $50 for a pod or PAX pod there in Pennsylvania. I would say that's probably about a $10 premium from here in Southern California, David Ringler. You can usually find them. I mean, some places, you know, if you go to a really nice dispensary, you're going to pay some extra, like a MedMen. But usually about $40 for a half-gram pod for one of those, I would say. Courtney X Love says, why is your whole personality weed? Courtney Love, that's a great question. Well, I'm not defending myself. I hope this doesn't come across as defensive. But this is a show where I am talking about weed. Pretty much, you know, that is the topic, and that's a lot of the questions that people ask. I love talking about other things that aren't weed. I love it. Weed is not even my favorite thing, believe it or not. I wouldn't even say weed is in my top 5 favorite things. It is not even my top 5 favorite things to talk about. It is just a subject that I have some expertise in, and people, I think, sometimes like listening to me yammer on about. But Courtney Love, I would love to talk about other things and show you other parts of my personality. Maybe we could talk about Kurt Cobain and what you did to him. You know, I still haven't forgiven you. I don't think anybody should forgive you. We know what you did, Courtney Love. We could talk about that if you want. We could also talk about, we often talk about like existential topics here. We almost always get into the fact that I don't believe in, you know, I'm a true determinist. That is almost always a topic that comes up. But give me a topic, and I can promise you I can bullshit about anything, Courtney Love. And I'm sorry, I hope that, again, did not come across as defensive or like I was trying to drag you there. Not at all. It was a very valid question, and I'm glad you brought it up. I am just, if you have anything you would like for me to talk about, give me an excuse, and I promise you I will yammer on just as incessantly and as aimlessly about that as about weed. Whew. Wow. Okay. David Ringler, that was a long answer. Tony Tokes, welcome, Tony. Just ran and got a Moxie half-gram lemon cookies and banana OG. testing at 98% THC. What does that even mean? 98% THC? That's insane. That sounds incredible. I'd love to know how much that cost, Tony Tokes, if you don't mind me asking, if you don't mind divulging. And please let us know how good it is, because 98% THC is just insanity. Oh, you just answered my own question. 2 things down, $40. That sounds like a great, great deal. I'm a little jealous. Rudy says, would you prefer a raw garden cart or the plug and play? Well, Rudy, plug and play to me, I have not had one in a while because I was not vaping for a while there. But plug and play to me, at least as it was formulated back in August, September, is the most potent way to inhale THC that is not a straight dab that I've ever experienced. It's incredible. Plug and play is amazing. Raw Gardens is wonderful. Raw Gardens is great. They make great 510 carts. I think they also make like some of the darts. I think they use one of the pod-based systems, but they don't hold a candle to plug and play, which is just on a different level of vapor than really anything. It to me just is a different beast. They're not paying me to say that either. I wish they would. No, I don't. I really actually do not. But I just really, truly like them that much. They're incredible. Blemzer says, Rudy, always choose live resin over distillate. I know people that we've got the live resin evangelizers, and that is what Raw Garden is. But just in terms of potency, plug and play is they're like wizards. I don't quite understand the magic that they are able to cast in the form of vaporized THC molecules. Medical Cannabis said, well said at Wheat's Reviews. I'm not sure what I said well, but thank you for saying that I said it well. David Ringler says, cannabis got me off a lot of pain meds for cancer. I only take 1 pill a day now because of cannabis. Really glad to hear that, David. I know for so many folks, weed has been the savior from opiates. Either they never had to go down that road to begin with, or they were able to break that awful cycle of addiction with the help of cannabis. So again, it is absolutely, positively ridiculous that we live in a world that does not acknowledge that, because it is just factually true. It is a factual, objective fact that it is 100% better for your health and society to have people consuming marijuana than having them do opiates, and that we have a world that will subsidize opiate consumption and criminalized marijuana consumption is just, yeah. I mean, I already went through this rant before, but it's just, I think part of why there's so much turmoil in the world is thankfully people, maybe of my generation, are saying enough, we're not going to take this kind of stupid, pointless bullshit anymore. And it's causing a lot of strife, but it's worth it, I think. I hope. Medical Cannabis says, Courtney Love, it is a weed review channel. Well, he was backing me up there. Again, it sounded defensive, but I promise it wasn't. I really was just trying to say, I love talking about things, but and I do apologize that I mostly end up blathering about weed. Guys, it seems like a lot of people are dragging Courtney Love for asking the question. I don't blame her. I thought it was a great question. I still blame her for killing Kurt Cobain. Shame on you, but it's a valid question. Medical Cannabis says, I am 57 and like your info on all things weed. Well, thank you, Medical Cannabis. Tony Toke says, And it's okay that hybrids are hit or miss. This is a 50-50 hybrid, and its effects are more heaviness than anything. Definitely a sit and relax high. Nice. Those are my favorite kind of highs. It's the very sort of sedative highs. I don't often get the sort of energetic, bouncy, more creative highs. I am usually, for me, a way to more calm thoughts than to cause them to race. But I know for some people, they have some certain strains that make them very, very bouncy. And I don't really ever experience that. But I'm glad for the people it works for, that's for sure. Philippe says, Mr. Santos, welcome by the way, says, what are your top 3 edible brands in your opinion? It is an ever-changing thing because things are going in and out of business or changing distribution models and everything so quickly. But I would probably say of the things you can reliably find at most places, Kiva is still top tier. Their chocolate is incredible. Canico is still around in a lot of places. I don't see them as much as I once did, but they are definitely still out there. They are up there. They make a wide variety of things. All of them great. All of them I can recommend. I'm gonna pick just a gummy company that Plus gummies are super great. I don't know if I would say that they're actually my number 3rd favorite, but they're so easy to take with you, so easy to share. They taste pretty good. I mean, they taste really good for weed gummies. They're as potent as advertised, and it's about one of the better size to high ratios on the market. So I would just throw them out there just as not another cookie / chocolate maker, as some variety. But those 3 brands you definitely can't go wrong with. I would say as number 1 right now in terms of spread, it is the biggest, it's the easiest to find, and it is 100% reliable. If you can find Kiva, just go with Kiva. They make gummies, they make chocolate bars, they make little chocolate ball things with like blueberries or espresso beans. They are all great. I can't recommend them enough. So yeah, Kiva. I'll say that because you can find it and it'll do the job. Tony Toke says, I'm an indica guy. I am an indica guy too, as far as, again, I'm not a big believer in strain or indica sativa. It all really comes down to what an individual person's strains are, yada, yada, yada. But I would say on the whole, I like indicas more than sativas, but it varies. Oh shit, I have to go back to the Volcano cam. It is cut off. It's turned off again. I'm back. I'm gonna turn this on. We're gonna wait for that to heat up. I'll do some more joint in the meantime, but first I'm gonna go get something else to drink, so I'll be right back. Don't look into my hallway because there are things in there that you're not supposed to see. Don't look. You sons of bitches better not have looked. I'm sorry for calling you sons of bitches, though. Because you may very well be daughters of bitches. Or non-binary bitches. And that's okay too. Non-binary of bitches. Sorry. You non-binary of a bitch. Wow. That's an insult. Let's go back to this joint. It's smooth, it's rich, it's creamy. It's got the texture and aroma of weed. Ooh. Just like Grandma used to make. Oh, that reminds me of my granny's sour D. Growing up, sitting on her porch, she'd pass me the doob. She'd go, "Don't choke, you little puss." And I'd go, and she'd go, "Ah, my grandson's a little bitch." And I would say, "I'm going to outsmoke you one day, Granny. Just you wait. One day I'm going to be big and strong and I'm going to smoke the biggest joint ever." And then she said, "Joke's on you, grandson. Smoking weed at this age stunts your brain." And I said, "No, it doesn't." And she said, "Yeah, it does." And I said, "What's a brain?" And she says, "See?" And I said, "See what?" And she said, "Shut the fuck up." And I did. And that's the story of the time I smoked weed with my grandmother. It's one of my most cherished memories, for sure. She died of cancer 2 weeks later. The butt cancer kind. I know that story turned into a downer, but butt cancer is a serious cancer. Colorectal. I think I just made light of colorectal cancer, and that's not nice, because it is terrible, and I think it's supposed to be excruciating, so shame on me. I will try not to laugh at colorectal cancer again. Although, I think we do all have to admit it is funny to say, and that can't be helped. See you back on the other side. I'm back. Okay. Medical cannabis says you grow your own as it's sunny there and weed is easy to grow. Medical cannabis, I wish I could. It is. I live in Southern California where space is at an utter premium. My postage stamp condominium costs more than I dare ever think about, and so I don't grow my own. I would love to at some point in the future, but it is just not feasible. I mean, I could buy one of those, like, setups that you can basically have the whole thing in like a zip up canvas bag and, app controlled, all that, but I have not done that. I wanted to say it's something I would never be interested in, but I'm just now, after like, I think 3 years, not 2 years, I think 3 years of doing wheats. I think I'm just now getting into making edibles. So growing weed is probably years and years away at this point. Philippe says, that's awesome. Thanks for the insights. I'm an investor at a Brazilian hedge fund and always checking your reviews. Nice to interact with you for the first time. Well, thanks for joining us, Philippe. I appreciate that. Thanks for joining in from a Brazilian hedge fund. Your business model fascinates me. I think hedge funds are some of the, so is your hedge fund investing heavily in U.S. cannabis startups and businesses, Philippe? Is that one of your areas of investment, or is that exclusively what you guys do? How big is your portfolio? I pretend to know a few things about that stuff, and I've never actually spoken to anybody who has worked at a hedge fund before, who's ever, been out there investigating companies to invest in. Who gave you your money? Where does your money come from? Who are your investors at the hedge fund? Those are all very personal and invasive questions. Feel free to answer none, Philippe. Mr. Santos. Courtney Love says, I saw it. I'm not sure what Courtney Love saw. We've talked a lot about that. Maybe she said she saw her murdering Kurt Cobain, which of course you did, because, unless you are murdering somebody while sleepwalking, you're gonna see it. So, I actually, Courtney Love, I don't really know that you murdered Kurt Cobain. I don't even know what the evidence is. I just know that people always say, Kurt Cobain didn't kill himself, Courtney Love did it, or whatever. So I'm just going off that. Oh, and I also know you're not actually Courtney Love. So, but it's been fun. Mike Underwood says, Grandma still alive. Sorry, just got here. Mike, I am sorry to tell you, Grandma did perish. I think that's how I ended that story, is that Grandma died. True fact, I didn't know one of my grandparents. I think they were already dead. I'm not 100% sure when I was born. And the other set of grandparents, they are, I think, alive. Haven't seen them, spoken to them in probably decades. And that's fine with me. Couldn't really care less. But that story, I did say, though, is true. It's not based in reality or fact, but that doesn't stop things from being true these days. Also, I hate the term these days, and I'm sorry I used it. It's a shortcut to say, anytime you hear these days, whatever came before or after it is usually horseshit, and based on anecdotal evidence or somebody's prejudices or biases. I watch, anytime I hear the phrase these days, my bullshit heckles instantly go swing, and I'm suspicious of anything said before or after, because it's usually bullshit. Medical Cannabis says that ashtray is going to cause an accident. My purple one? I hope not. Hey, Mark, how's it going? I talked to Candy Cane the other day. Heard you're still planning your California trip and maybe going to make a little passage through the LBC, which would be really cool. Glad you could join us, man. Mike Underwood says, what the fuck, man? I got to smoke a J now. I'm sorry to, get the desire flowing. That's my bad. But to be fair to me, you did join a stream that I think is advertised as Let's Get High. So we'll split that blame evenly, 50-50. Courtney Love says, should have rubbed some CBD on her tush. I'm coming into that one contextless. Cannot remember what that would have been regarding. But sure. David Ringler says that is how it started for me. Okay. Medical Cannabis says Courtney is MK Ultra. Courtney was mind controlled by the CIA. You know what's crazy about MK Ultra? Is that all of that, so much of that crazy shit is 100% true and verifiable and admitted to by the CIA. But when you tell people, they think you're a conspiracy lunatic. Like, when you tell dumb olds, like, you know, you're talking to them about why you shouldn't trust your government, like, oh, the CIA used to give people LSD and see what would happen. Oh, and one time they gave somebody LSD and he jumped out of a window and killed himself under their watch, and then they covered it up. Oh, and it turns out that maybe he was killed by the CIA because they were planning on, he was planning on, you know, divulging certain things. When that is not loony land conspiracy theory. The CIA it admits to that they're like, yes, we did that. Those are projects we tried. When you tell people that that was the FBI or the CIA, I think it was the CIA that was doing like bizarre behavioral experiments on college students, and one of those college students ended up being the Unabomber and had a truly traumatic experience. I mean, an awful experience with this thing, and it may have informed his decision to become the Unabomber. People look at you like you're nuts and like you're a conspiracy theorist. But again, that is true. That actually 100% happened. When you tell people that the CIA literally did release and basically try to get people addicted to crack in Los Angeles, they think you're a conspiracy theory loony. But no, that is 100% true. That 100% did happen. They have admitted to it. But us Americans are so brainwashed into thinking that their government really can do no wrong or is in some way good or decent that they just will not believe it. And then they won't even if you show them, you know, the absolutely conclusive evidence, they still, that would cause such a cognitive storm for them that they'll just still refuse to believe it. They'll just like, well, I mean, it wasn't that bad, or it really didn't happen. I know so many of these people and knew so many more, and I just don't understand that willful ignorance or that just desire to stick your fingers in your ears and stamp the ground and say, like, you know, I can't hear you, everything's great, everything's okay. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. But that's just me. Courtney Love does admit to killing Kurt Cobain. That's who. I keep forgetting your name, Kurt. I'm sorry. May you rest in peace. I'm glad we finally have it in the open. Thank you, Courtney. Case is closed. You can go back to whatever weird shit Courtney Love is doing these days. The last thing I heard about Courtney Love is she sued Guitar Hero 3 because they used Kurt Cobain's likeness, and I think she owned the royalties to that. And I think she won, and maybe even a lot of money. But good for you, Courtney Love, and I'm glad you admitted it. Thank you. Emma says hi, or maybe she said that she is hi. Either way, she says hello. Tell her I said hi right back, and I mean it both ways. Weed says, maybe I can get your email and I can tell you more in detail. Would be good having someone checking products for us and guaranteeing they are truthful to what they market. Who knows? Philippe, yes, feel free to email at me at any time. You can just hit me up, wheatsreviews@gmail.com. wheatsreviews@gmail.com. I do have my own email, wheats@wheatsreviews.com, but I've had people say that things have bounced back to them from there, so I don't know. But I definitely know wheatsreviews@gmail.com will get up to me. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have, and would love to know more about what you're looking for. It's Just Me Mark says, for sure we will have to come and visit. That would be awesome. Mike Underwood is laughing about something. Brazos says, oh, and it looks like maybe some Cyrillic? Maybe? I don't know. I don't recognize some of those characters, at least as they come across through Restream chat. Excuse me, I just burped. I have to do a big draw here. Before this, oh boy. Let's get going. Okay, big draw. Medical Cannabis says, I'm doing some research into Operation Looking Glass, or have, or will be. I am not sure what Operation Looking Glass is. I wouldn't doubt if it's something nefarious that the U.S. government has done. And I also apologize if I just came across as a wacko, but I promise I'm not being. Everything I just said there is like, a true thing that actually does our government has admitted to. Like, or like, the fact that the government knew that, like, how many black men, 300 black men or whatever, had syphilis for years and refused to tell them just so they could study the effects of what it did to their population. That's a real thing. But I digress. I'm getting into some topics that get you in trouble. Not with the government, just, they're political and nobody likes talking about politics. So we'll move on to a new topic. I finally excuse me. Mike Underwood says, woo! How is it living in California? Most I know is moving out. Oklahoma just went legal, and I'm not sure about recreational. Take that in a few parts there. I'm going to address the I know most are moving out. That is true. I just read that last year was the record lowest year for Los Angeles immigration in a century. It had the smallest population immigrating into this city. I think it might have even gotten contracted in size, Los Angeles. People, middle-class folks are being squeezed out of living in Southern California. It's just happening. Most are moving to Texas, which I know there are a lot of resentful Texans about, but so many Californians are going to Texas where they can buy a home cheap, or at least much cheaper than here, and, pay less in taxes and all that. So that is a definite phenomenon of middle class or working poor folks leaving Southern California and Los Angeles. To me, it is still, I hate the people who say, like, oh, where I live is the best place in the world, when you've lived in, like, one place, or, when you grew up in, say, like, Lincoln, Nebraska, and you're like, Lincoln, Nebraska is the best city in the United States. And it's like, have you lived anywhere else? I've lived in not a ton of places, so I can't definitively, like, I would love to still experience, like Portland or other places on the West Coast, or maybe live somewhere in Colorado for a while, or, wherever. But to me, Southern California is still paradise. I could not love where I live, Long Beach, anymore. I'm very fortunate. I happen to live in an incredibly nice area in Long Beach. I just got very lucky. My partner and I found a very insanely good deal on a condo and happened to be in a nice area. Not a nice building in an area, but I love Long Beach. It is the city with the record high, or the record number of nice days a year, which is like sunny days in the 70s, which is, I think, the metric. But even beyond that, it's just, it's just so different from where I was before. I lived in the South, and, people had sort of a very different view of what a city meant, or what a city could do, or a city could be there. And I really like how responsive and quick moving and willing to try things this area is. Weed is obviously a great perk about it, but just there's so many things that I just love about this place. And I realize that is not everybody's case in Southern California. I am in a very, 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 very incredibly privileged position to say that, and I recognize that. I'm extremely fortunate that I can do this, but if you are in that subset of people, or you can get as lucky as I did, it's wonderful. But it is also extremely expensive, hostile to, new residential growth, all that kind of bullshit. But I still love it. Love it. Would happily live here for the rest of my life if that were, if I was told that by somebody, you're never going to move again in your future, I would say, okay, that's fine. I'm happy where I'm at. I can't say that I would never move, or that I wouldn't be willing to try a new place. But if I had to stay in Southern California, specifically Long Beach, forever, I would say that is A-okay with me. Long answer to that question. Forrest Lynn says Black Wall Street is a story forgotten by USA. Forrest Lynn, I'm not even sure what the story of Black Wall Street is. I would love to know more about it. It sounds like a juicy podcast topic, like a Planet Money episode or a season of Slow Burn or something. But, it's in Watchmen. That I heard that one of the final episodes of the season dealt with a massively racist incident in the past. Watchmen is on my immediate list of things to start watching. I'm such a huge fan of the graphic novel for years and years, and I've been so excited, and I love Damon Lindelof so much. I can't believe I haven't watched it yet, but I've heard it's incredible, so it's high up there. All that being said, just finally started The Expanse. Finally, after, people have been chiding me forever. You gotta watch The Expanse. I know that the first Amazon season just came out. People were raving about it. I'm halfway through the first season, and it's just now starting to pick up. I am fully admitting to I'm stupid and a bad watcher of TV and not very observant, but it was quite confusing there for a while, a little confounding. I was like, they threw you right into the deep end and don't give you a lot of lifelines, and it takes a while for the various narrative pieces that they start with to, come together in a way that makes sense for the audience. But interesting things are finally starting to happen. I think I'm starting to understand how the politics of the world work. If you've never seen or heard of The Expanse, it's the show that was saved by Jeff Bezos. It was originally a sci-fi series based on some books, like hard sci-fi near future books where humans have colonized the solar system, and there are 3 factions-ish in the show. There are the people on Earth. There's a Mars contingent, like a whole Mars planet that has its whole own politics and is separate from Earth. And then there are like people who work in the asteroid belts. So I guess that's between Mars and Jupiter. And they're a different faction altogether. And it has some very hard sci-fi type physics stuff, like, you know, they really think about space and time and how long things would take, how these forces would affect the human body, what it would be like actually growing up in outer space, what it would do to somebody, the sort of anatomy of a person. It has a lot of cool thoughts. That is what The Expanse is. I'm sorry you didn't ask for that, but it's good. You should check it out. Well, I guess actually I didn't give it that high of an endorsement. I've only watched the first half of the first season, and it was very confounding to start with, starting to come together, and there's some definite cool sequences to it. Gives me some BSG vibes in a way, and really excited. And speaking of Battlestar Galactica, which network is it? Peacock, I think. The new Peacock streaming service, which is NBC's live, or NBC's ad-supported streaming service, is getting a new Battlestar Galactica series. I think it's Peacock, because there's so many coming out. There's Peacock, there's HBO Max, which is not the same thing as HBO, but one of them is getting a new Battlestar series that is done by the guy who created Mr. Robot and Homecoming on Amazon, and he's described it as neither a reboot or a reimagining, but something altogether different, but will still be very Battlestar Galactica-y. And it's got me pretty excited because the dude's obviously quite talented. Battlestar, you know, for those first couple of seasons, it was really something special. And with a guy who is as creative and funky as Sam Esmail, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Mr. Robot guy, it should be quite good. And Battlestar's such an interesting, it's such a cool universe to begin with, and I'm pretty excited to see what he comes up with. And that means I'm just going to have to go down another tangent here real quick and say board games. In a past life, I was a huge board gamer, ran a big board game group, had a huge collection. My second favorite game ever, and for a long time, my favorite board game ever, is the Battlestar Galactica. The Battlestar Galactica board game. I know you're thinking to yourself, what? License-based board games. Well, maybe not. Maybe some of you are clued in how awesome board games can be. But a very awesome board game designer, Corey Kinesk, I think his name is, made a very, very complex, intricate board game based on Battlestar Galactica. And it was my favorite game for the longest time. A very brief summary of how the game works. It's a team-based game where there are 2 teams. There's the human and the Cylon team. And the goal is for the humans to basically make it to whatever planet Earth. And that involves them doing a bunch of actions over and over again as terrible things are happening to them. And the Cylons, the other team, their goal is to prevent the Battlestar or Galactica from doing that, by sabotaging them in any number of ways, blowing them up or doing any number of things. So what makes the game so fun is nobody knows at the beginning who the Cylons are. Everybody is working on the same team. However, as the game starts, everyone is given a card that shows you what you are, whether you're a human or whether you are a Cylon. And so if you are a Cylon, you are secretly trying to sabotage everything that's happening in the game and not getting caught while doing it. It's an incredible mechanic. It makes everybody paranoid, question everything all the time. Who's doing what? Why did this terrible thing happen? So on and so forth. And then it further takes the amazing Battlestar theme even more because, like in Battlestar, if you've ever seen it, the thing is all these humans are escaping all their worlds have been blown up. They're on one last ship, but they've been destroyed by a bunch of evil robots. But these evil robots can look like humans, and they know for a fact that some of these evil robots are infiltrated among these surviving humans. So that's why you have Cylons and humans in this thing. In the show, there are people that they're Cylon human people that don't even realize they're Cylons until they get activated at some point, and then they will do something treacherous. They truly believe they're humans. So the game replicates that by having a mechanic where halfway through the game, everybody draws an additional card that will tell you whether you are a human or a Cylon. So even if you figured out who the bad guy is to begin with or have some suspicions, there's a whole new round of paranoia as assumedly another person has been activated to come and sabotage you. It takes a long time to play. It takes a long time to learn. But my God, if you've got a group of 5 or 6 people that are willing to learn the rules and sit down and have some fun, it is about the best way to spend 3 hours. I played Battlestar Galactica probably 40 or 50 times back in the day. It is literally like a 3-hour board game, but it's incredible. It feels so much like the show, and certainly not a board game to play if you've never played any more in-depth board games than like Monopoly or Uno or whatever. But if you have the patience for it, and you have 4 or 5 friends that are patient enough for it, I promise you there is not an more enjoyable way to spend 3 hours than Battlestar Galactica. Whew! You didn't even ask for that endorsement, and I just gave it to you. Wow, what a nice guy. It's just me. Mark said I should start watching new things. Instead, I have just started watching Lost for the 8th time. Mark, it is funny that you say that. I made a resolution to myself that I will break soon, like all resolutions, that I was not going to just watch the same stuff over and over again. I was not going to just watch King of the Hill for the 8 billionth time this year. I was only going to try to consume new things only this year. Don't just put on comfortable old things. So I feel you there. Lost for the 8th time. Man, Mark, I just went through a nostalgia fest with Battlestar Galactica, and now you bring up Lost. There was nothing like Lost as it was on the air. I joined in on the 2nd season. I bought the 1st season sight unseen at Walmart on DVD the day it came out, based on nothing more than like a couple friends saying like, "This is the greatest thing ever." Me and my college roommates watched it in 3 days, and then we're on board forever for Lost. We would organize these big viewing parties for Lost every week. I mean, my friends we would talk about it all the time. We would get excited. I mean, genuinely, truly excited for Lost. I mean, it was giddy anticipation. There were, even, Game of Thrones may have been the closest thing to replicate it in terms of hype and viewer interest, but it still didn't even feel the same to me. I I watched Lost so many times as it was airing. I have never, ever gone back to it since it aired, since the finale aired. I can't believe it. I mean, I do, I realize it's more about the journey than the destination. I don't hate the ending as much as some people. I do think it was a letdown, but that I still can't deny that I loved everything that came before it. So I'm surprised I haven't come back to it. My greatest, and it looks like it's going to be a failure, but I made a bet with Jesus at one point that I predicted that by the end of this year, so by the end of 2020, it will not be out. It will not be. It might not even be officially 100% like announced, but I am probably going to fail it, but I'm still going to go with it. My bet is by the end of 2020, Disney will have announced some kind of Lost thing for Disney Plus at some point. Lost still, as you're talking about there, Mark, it still engenders that reaction in people. People are still fascinated by it, even though people hate it. I still think they might even hate watch it. It is still talked about. It is still thought about, even if not for the mystery, but at least for the sort of its format and its sort of way of storytelling and all that. I think Disney realizes that they could put out anything with that Lost property, and it could be so many things. It could be a reboot. It could be a sequel. It could be a reimagining. It could be a side thing. I mean, Lost is such an expansive idea, whatever it was, that they could really go any way with it. I bet that by the end of 2020, I'm going to fail at this, but I still am going to go with it. By the end of 2020, Disney will have announced some kind of Lost something to come out at some point. And I'll leave it at that. I think it's still a very valuable IP. And I think I really actually do think if they announce, I think they know that if they announce some kind of Lost thingamajig, that people would subscribe to the service just for that. It would be a big enough deal. And so that makes me think that they might do it. It's not like Disney to sit on a valuable property for long, right? Without trying to get some more dollars out of it. Lost has been off the air for it will be a decade. Yeah, they will have been off the air. This May will have been 10 years because it was May 2010 was the finale, I'm pretty sure. So a 10-year anniversary seems like a real good time to release or announce a Lost something or other. I don't know. I've never heard anything about this. There are no rumors out there to this effect. This is just me. Wild speculation. Lost. Haven't thought about it in a long time. Other than that. Okay, where are we at? Willy Wonka, welcome Willy Wonka, says new vamp movie coming out called Morbius. If you're familiar with the comic books, can't wait. I am familiar with Michael Morbius. I know the, Spider-Man anti-hero somewhat. I know him really only through Spider-Man. I don't know him as his own guy. Like, I'm sure he's probably had his own series or something at some point, and I don't really know much about it. I know him, how he came to be, who he is, what his deal is. He's a living vampire. He's not an actual vampire, yada, yada, yada. The trailer is bizarre in the way that it is and is not in the Marvel MCU or whatever. But that picture of Jared Leto as the full-on Morbius looks real fucked up, so that's pretty cool. Justin says, "Damn it, Bobby. which, yes, damn it, Bobby. I mean, I'm trying not to hear damn it, Bobby for a whole year, if I can do it. If I can not listen to watch a King of the Hill for an entire year, that will be some kind of victory for me. But just me. It's Mark says he's still a Lost fan. Best show ever. I wish I should rewatch it at some point just to get a nostalgic kick in the nuts, if nothing else. Medical Cannabis says Attack on Titan 4. I've never seen any Attack on Titan. I've heard a lot of people say like, oh, that is the anime to watch if you don't like anime. Shit, I gotta go back to the Volcano cam. Turned off on me again. We'll cut over there. Just a second. See you in a second, everybody. Oh, wait. Oh, it's good. Turn it back on. I forgot what we were talking about. Lost, maybe? Oh, Attack on Titan 4. Is Attack on Titan something I should watch? I have not watched any anime shows ever, I don't think. But I'm not willing to. I bought Cowboy Bebop on iTunes like 6 months ago. They had the entire series for $5. And I was like, hey, partner, do you think you ever would want to watch Cowboy Bebop for $5? And she said, probably not. And I said, okay. And then I bought it. And we haven't watched it. But I've heard that one's also very good, and I already own it. So maybe that's what I watch first? Or do I watch Attack on Titan? That's the one with big giant beasties, right? I do like big giant beasties. Good stuff. So this will be the third chamber, which means it's time to change it out after this one. Just like a baby's diaper. It's actually nothing like a baby's diaper now that I think about it. You change it. That's the only way that it's similar. So just take that comparison right out your head. I think we can get one more out of it here. Coughing now. Oh! I should have taken one of these to do instead right now. I can do both. It's a brave world. You can have just like everybody's favorite little girl and a taco sauce ad. Why not both? .gif. Which has to be one of the most versatile, wonderful gifts ever. See you on the other side. Oops. Why not both? .gif. Great stuff. Forrest Lynn says the new Spider-Man is going to be crazy now. Venom, Morbius, and the Sinister Six. I hope they're going to put all those things together because as of right now, well, it looks like Morbius is definitely connected to Spider-Man. I mean, there's, not to spoil things, but there's a familiar face in that trailer that made you go, oh, wow, that's a cool cameo. But Venom still was, intentionally, there was no Spider-Man reference. Sony, their whole deal with Marvel is so weird. I don't know what direction it's going to go in. But I hope Sony doesn't drown the next Spider-Man in too many villain crossover things, because that is literally is what has killed the other two Spider-Men is Sony trying to force too many bad guys and names and spidery spin-offs into one thing and the final content suffered for it. So far, the 2 Spider-Man movies have been excellent, but, you know, Sony has been known to fuck things up before. Okay. Justin says, what did Disney lose? Justin, Disney never loses anything. Disney only gains. Disney never loses. It just grows and grows and grows and grows and grows and grows and grows. And the mouse is never satisfied. The mouse must always eat. The mouse can never be satiated. The mouse must consume. The mouse won't be satisfied till it owns all. The mouse will eventually be in a fight to death with Amazon. But, you know, that's like 5 years from now. So we got a long time. Don't worry about it. Disney's great. Boy, Star Wars and Marvel, that shit's awesome. That was Mickey noise, by the way. It's just Mark says, you may be right, and boy, I hope you are. I hope I am too. The only thing that would be better is if they decided to do a Lost Land theme park. I would lose my goddamn mind. You would have the beach camp set up, and you would do the smoke monster ride, and you would do like, you get to do the tailies ride too, where you fall out the plane and all that fun stuff. And, you know, maybe Locke's dad can come in and steal your kidney, and maybe you get attacked by a polar bear, and maybe you grow impotent. All that could be at Lost Land and more coming to Disneyland soon. But in theme park news that is awesome, Nintendo Land coming to Universal Tokyo this year, and they, you know, said it will come to America at some point, but there is no date. It's really happening. There really is going to be a Super Nintendo theme, you know, wing at a Universal, and it looks, you know, they don't have any real pictures of it yet, but I'm so optimistic. I know it makes me like a dumb 8-year-old, but I am excited. I can't wait to check that out. It seems so stupidly magical to me. You know, the idea of a Mario Kart ride is so delightful. I'm tickled by the whole idea. I can't wait for it to come to the U.S. I mean, I'd love to see it in Japan at some point, but you know, that's being optimistic. Mike says, I need to check out this Lost show. You know, it's a decade-old show that I'm sure shows its age in certain ways, Mike. It was network. It's a network show. It, you know, it had 20 episode seasons for a long time, and it didn't need, you know, there's a lot of sort of filler episodes and things. So it's, I'm sure, well, I haven't seen it in a decade, so I can't say. My guess is it feels antiquated in some ways, like, you know, like a vestige of older network TV style things. But I'm sure there's some still very novel things. And I would guess that the little hooks are still just as effective then as they are today. It was very much just one more episode. I got to see what's on next, kind of, you know, really maybe the most effective one of those ever. But yeah, I don't know what it's like today because I have not seen it. Medical Cannabis says Meghan Markle reportedly signing a deal with Disney. Wouldn't be surprised. Good for her, cashing out, getting them Disney dollars. Because what the hell else is Disney going to spend all that money on? Mike says he'll watch it on his Fire Stick. Thanks. What is Lost streaming on now? Is it on Netflix still? Well, I guess it's also different in the UK because those content packages are different. I wonder if a very good sign for it ever being rebooted or, you know, some new Lost thing is if it ever comes to Disney Plus. Because I'm pretty sure Disney just flat out owns the rights to Lost. They might not own the streaming rights at this moment, but, you know, presumably they'll come back. But it was like their, you know, studios. So I don't know. Although Bad Robot, which is J.J. Abrams' company, which is what produced it, has now signed like $1 billion deal with Warner Brothers. So maybe that complicates everything. Probably does. So maybe I just take back everything I said. I'm stupid. I don't know. Medical cannabis also endorsing Lost. It seems like everybody out there. Forrest Lynn back, and I'm sorry it's taken so long to get there, recommends watch Death Note as the first thing. Forrest Lynn, I have watched the unfortunate American remake, which I actually think is better than the critics say. Not a good movie by any stretch, but I can see why it was so fat. Like, it's such a crazy, weird, interesting concept that I was interested the whole time. And Willem Dafoe plays the creepy, monstery thing. It was enjoyable. It's not a good movie, but I have heard that the anime is way better, and maybe I will go back and watch it because, you know, I didn't totally despise the reviled American remake, so maybe that means that I would really quite like the source material. Which was it a manga before an anime? I don't know. I don't know anything. Mark says, if you want to go total kick in the nuts, watch Akira. That's the other one that I've known. I mean, that one's been around. That's an old one, like from the 90s, right? But I've heard, you know, that's the one to do. That and Ghost in the Shell. I know that there was an American remake of that one. That was supposed to be wretched. Forrest Lynn, yeah, I figured you weren't endorsing the much reviled Netflix movie, but I did watch it, and I didn't hate it as much as many people did. So maybe I will have to check out the original. Justin asks, what in Disney cult is going on? Nothing. I'm just letting you know, Justin, that Uncle Walt owns so much stuff, and there is little reason to believe that Uncle Walt just won't keep acquiring. Because who out there is big enough to resist at this point? I look for Disney to make some more shockingly huge acquisitions in the near future, would be my guess. You know, Fox wasn't enough for their hungry asses. But man, Marvel movies, they're real good. Mark says, I probably put a spoiler alert before describing Lost Land. Yes, and I'm sorry. A little high, so a little spoilery. Mark says he owns the Blu-ray box set. Nice, all 6 seasons tucked into a nice package. Oh, okay. Medical Cannabis was recommending Attack on Titan to begin with. That is what he was recommending, not whatever I was talking about. Lost. My bad. But I'm glad we cleared that up. And I think with that, I'm going to give my voice a rest. Starting to get a little raspy on me, a little sore. Been talking a while. But I've been loving doing these live streams. I think I'm going to do them way more often. I will promise to try to give way more warning in the future through YouTube and social media so people can get a heads up. But it's been super chill until then. I've had a blast. I know I didn't even do this bong, but yeah, I need a break. just building up my vocal cords again for these longer streams. So we'll get there. That, guys, is going to do it. I super appreciate everybody hanging out with me. It's been a blast. My buddy out there, let's make some details for making a smoke sesh next week. Philippe, I'll look out for that email and get back in touch. And Mark, good catching up as always. Take care, everybody. I'll see everybody on the next stream. Later, guys.